Okay, so let's talk Outriders. Um, this is a game that was apparently started back in 2015 by People Can Fly, a Polish game development team, and then was picked up by Square Enix for, I guess, further development. They went from, I guess, 60 developers to like 200, according to the wiki page. So, interesting note. First off, I'd like to say, any game and something like that is it's going to be a challenge doing 3D animation myself and what have you. Just the whole process is going to be a challenge. So, definitely a tip of the hat to those guys and all the work they did there. Having said that, I wanted to give my impressions of the story and the gameplay, and I say story because it seems like this is what it's really centered around. Is because there's an awful lot of story in the gameplay, and then there's the actual gameplay where you're shooting and it's not cinematic. From a story standpoint, it felt a little surface level, in the way that I think the idea, at least in the cinematic when it started, it says, the Earth is destroyed, we did it, and that's pretty much it that you get from, at least from the jump. I'm sure if you play through the game, you own the game, you'll get the entirety of the story, more details on exactly what happened to the Earth or why we destroyed it or whatever. But it seems to be sort of the typical, man is bad, we kill Earth, we kill each other, we go looking for someone else to populate and then start killing each other. That sort of idea. With and I think along with that, it's you then, at least in the opening, suffer from what in film. I guess one of the big things you have in film, you show and don't tell, right? Now, granted, you could say almost any video game, you have to make the environment, the characters, the lighting, the all of these things, and so it's not nearly as I wouldn't say easy, but it's a much more complex feat to show multiple locations and show all these things, animating them, all of that stuff. So it's more efficient, because you're thinking of these locations that cinematics are playing in are often used as locales for the gameplay, and so it's understandable that you would have just one location and then a lot of things are happening within that location. But in this case, I guess you're trying to develop these characters that you care about, and I really didn't really latch on to any of them or their plight. From what I understood, you're these sort of people that just arrived, I guess a ground team, if you will, to explore this habitat that you came upon in hopes of colonizing this location. But what's interesting is that you're sort of given this idea that this is like, Earth, super future Earth, where technology is extremely advanced. But pretty quickly you become involved in situations where you have wildlife and, this is completely foreign to them. They've never seen them. They have no idea what they are. Now I understand from a gameplay standpoint, that's the idea, is that the characters exploring, you, the player, are exploring via, through the character, and you're learning about this, the wildlife and the vegetation, the weather systems, the environment, dangers, things like that. But it just seems odd that the story sets it up that you're this, oh, we're here to colonize and we have all these people up in space and, that's the rest of humanity. It's for survival. But they get here and the first thing that, you would think that there'd be some sort of probe or something mechanical that went to this planet first to, let, everyone gets off these carrier ships without headgear or anything like that. And I know, this isn't National Geographic, but again, the story is put really kind of front and center, because there's so much cinematic storytelling going on before gameplay that it really makes me focus on it. So, you have these people that apparently are advanced, but nothing's gone ahead because a number of things happen. One, of course, someone's immediately infected a la Prometheus or whatever, the third movie in the Prometheus trilogy, where these guys are suddenly, one of the guys is attacked by some foreign antigen or something, and they're, what is it? I don't know. Oh no, he's gonna die. But you would think somebody would have scouted this beforehand, some machine or something. You know what I mean? I mean, we're in the 21st century, and we send probes to Mars. We don't just go trucking off to Mars. Hey, let's land there and take our helmets off when we get off. So that kind of irked me a little bit. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but again, it just, when there's things that just kind of seem out of place, the world immersion from a story standpoint seems a little difficult. Then of course there's these weird storms that appear to just, I don't know, it's like just destroying these people. They're being sliced apart or whatever, but I don't know, they're being sliced apart. I guess apparently they're being changed into something, but that was a little hard to tell. And then I guess more than that, the identity of your character, you're this outrider, and it's interesting because when you're first introduced, you're sort of a generic ground team sort of personnel, nothing really special. And there may have been something in the dialogue that I missed, again, why you show and don't tell. If you show this person taking on like this massive enemy and defeating it either with ease or in a collective, you're like, okay, these guys are elite troops or something. But when you just kind of plop them down there, they all sort of step out and then they all get wasted along with everyone else, later on to the game, and you're an outrider. Are you really an outrider? Oh, you're an outrider. And it's like, why is that special? Like, you know what I mean? Could outrider just be a different word for you're a soldier? Because they seem pretty generic to me. It's also interesting that once you get powered up, they're like, are these people running from me? You kind of ask yourself that. And I'm like, why would they run from you? I don't know. Are you doing something that's really scaring them? Because you're shooting at them and they're shooting at you. And I really don't see any difference there. So I don't know. Nothing that really sets them apart. Overall, I mean, the story's, I don't know that's anything I'd write home about. But I mean, which is what I'm thinking. I'm like, well, is the whole point of this game that you're just, you get the fun of the game is in, the shooting or clever mechanics in that regard. If so, then, the story's just meant as kind of a window dressing, if you will, to just get you into this gameplay that's really fun. And from having said that, let me move on to the sort of the gameplay aspect. But yeah, so the gameplay, I get shooters, and I've certainly played my share of them, and it can be argued I do not have the best reflexes on the planet. Probably, I don't know, you'd probably say my reflexes are below average, but I seem to, sort of hold my own in different games like not Destiny. I mean, I've played Destiny 2, but, that's neither here nor there. But, The Division, there you go, Division 2, stuff like that. In this game, several things were kind of occurring. One, when you sort of come out from cover to fire, wherever the reticulate of the sight aim dot is, the moment you come out to fire, it takes it from where you were aiming and just kind of shoots it off, I don't know, 15, 20 degrees to the right or the left, depending on what your sort of cover you're hiding behind. So in other words, whatever you were aiming at, the moment you come out to shoot at it, you're aiming somewhere really far off in the distance. So that's, a little annoying. I found it was strange that once you move from the rifle to the sort of sniper, or the assault rifle to the sniper rifle, it doesn't fly off as much, so maybe that's the point. It's a more accurate weapon, I'm not sure. Another thing that I noticed was, obviously each one of these characters are bullet sponges, the bad guys, the NPCs, because, you can sit there and kind of wail on these guys, and it seems like a body shot is, let's say you get 2 points for a body shot. Well, apparently you get 4 points for a headshot, but continuously shooting at the head, I guess you could say they'll die 50% faster, but if it still takes 800 million shots to, that's 50% less than 1.6 billion shots. Okay. So they're kind of bullet spongy, typical, enemy AI. where all the NPCs are snipers, unlimited weapons, and they all fire in unison at you. So you're really looking at this sort of wall of bullets just coming at you all at once, and so you're trying to just jump out and shoot them individually. You seem like you have a special ability, but the special ability I get is to throw a grenade, which I don't know, didn't really seem so special. There's these different classes. I picked a sniper class. I always love playing kind of range and sniper class, but in this case, you get a sniper rifle, which it seems more powerful, but at the same time, obviously you need to aim, and you're looking for headshots. And when you have like a wall of fire coming at you because they're spawning 4 or 5 enemies at once, it's a little difficult to do that. So then you get into like ducking and then shooting randomly as from cover, because if you try and aim at someone or their head, you're just going to get mowed down. There was a separate ability, but one of the things I noticed, like there was L1, it targeted your grenade ability, and then L1 R1 does a different ability. It was supposed to be a turret or something, but it seemed to really take a long time, and it, of course you could say it's my gameplay style that I didn't get it, but it really took a long time for me to put it out there, for it to activate, and I'm still not even sure what it does precisely. And though I don't know. So I found that it just, some of the mechanics didn't seem to really mesh well together with each other. Like you push one button to duck and another button to like roll, but there's this weird gap in between them, so it's not immediate. So you're kind of ducking, but it's late, and you're rolling, but there's this lag when you start and when you stop rolling, which, I mean, I guess I get, but when you have these, again, sniper style NPCs that are just unloading on you constantly, it becomes pretty punishing to roll away from attacks, and to try and move from one objective to the other, you're going to take shots. Now it's a little weird. I guess a lot of them don't do a whole lot of damage, so it seems sort of superfluous then, because they're shooting you and they can shoot you for a good deal before your health goes down. So I'm going to guess there's that. And it is a little annoying. Some of these guys, when you shoot them, like immediately upon death, they automatically like drop a grenade. So that's, and then rolling, there's that delay when you have to roll out of the area for the grenade. So, that was a little weird. But then came the actual, once I got into this little zone, and then of course they kicked the story back up again where, and this is probably a little segue back into the story, is that it seemed like this whole initiative is led, or at least one of the core leaders is this guy, who I guess you can call him a hothead, but I'd say this is a kind of a guy dealing with some serious anger issues, because he really seems angry at everyone. I guess he was trying to promote this guy as being really stressed out, but he just comes across as sort of rash and not someone prone to a whole lot of thinking.
There is no proper procedure.
Which would then question, if you have the survival of all humanity, why would you put this guy at the forefront? Because one, he doesn't seem to communicate very well, and then two, almost instantaneously. And I would say, hey man, it's kind of his problem that the Outriders got infected. But his reaction to that is, okay, well, let's just go ahead and wipe them out with my own sort of separate force, command soldiers, which is also sort of funny because you would think these guys, they're trained together or something, and they've traveled, light years away, and or however long they are away from the planet Earth, and that there was some sort of camaraderie would have been formed, some sort of bond. But the flip of a hat, they're ready to just kill all their compatriots at this one guy's command. Kill them all. And so I don't know, that again, that from a story standpoint, that just kind of got a little weird. So when we get from that story into our new story, or months later, the scientist that helped you out, that sort of stowed you away, I guess she's now in command of this whole league. which is also a little weird because she's like, you know, who are you and what do you want, and shut up. But you're like, hold up. First off, you're obviously an intelligent person, and I guess the idea, well, she's jaded over what happened the last 32 years. But you would think if these Outriders are so special that she would have known, oh man, I stowed them away in these cryotubes. Why don't we make an effort to go save some of them so they can really help us out here because things are getting a little dicey. And instead what she's is like, oh, it's one of you, and what do you want? Okay, fine. And I don't know, that seemed a little just strange per the story for her to react that way. But once you get into that mode where it's months later, segueing back into gameplay, you can see my next gameplay video went on for about 15 minutes, and that's because I would definitely say, you know, right now next to Jedi Fallen Order, which for me has been pretty frustrating, this was easily a more frustrating stretch of gameplay because immediately you have these NPCs that are just thrust on you. They're running full force, much like everyone else. They're bullet sponges, so you only have so many bullets to shoot 6 guys at once, and they're melee, which apparently does considerable more damage than the bullets. And I picked a range class, so having a bunch of people jump all over me instantaneously, they don't stop. Shooting them doesn't really do a whole lot. I tried to use my little powers, and they react so slowly per how fast these guys run. It wasn't very effective. And even when I got past these guys, another wave of enemies came out, and there's more of them within this wave of enemies, and I just kind of hung up my spurs, so to speak. At this point, I was like, yeah, okay, I don't know. So what I may try and do is get my nephew Nick involved, and maybe we can try a little co-op on this or something, see if maybe that helps, because I guess my impression, I mean, I guess this is like, maybe someone could say, well, now you're blaming, which, you know, I don't know, maybe I am, but in this case, it just feels like this is intended to be multiplayer. Like, they really want you to team up with someone else. And that, you know, again, why the solo play is so punishing. Because, yeah, that definitely felt pretty punishing and pretty early on in the game. You know, I'm just trying to get to this demo, and then here we go. You know, this is kind of endless onslaught. So, in summary, I would say the good. I thought it looked kind of cool. I mean, obviously it's kind of a crisp new game. You know, it's intriguing. I'm curious to know kind of what happens. Overall, the story, you know, like I said, it seems sort of surface level. I mean, I don't want to say superficial because that has this really negative connotation with it, but it feels a little bit surface level. Like there's not a whole lot of depth to it, which makes it feel like it was pulled together pretty quickly. But then if you take a game that apparently has been in development for 6 years, that would be hard to say that it came together quickly, but it just feels that way. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but it feels like it was all pulled together very quickly. From little gameplay elements and from the sort of weird deals going on with the characters, the fact that, you know, they all land here and you're kind of stuck in this one location where everyone is giving their exposition. Each of the characters are giving their exposition to you, and immediately you're thrust in this world, and where these characters that you sort of just met are suddenly now leaders in this, you know, I don't know. So you think there'd be more focus on introducing them and their introductions, making them more meaningful, because they're going to be major players later on in the game, and that didn't seem to be the case. So I don't know. So overall, right now from the demo, I'd give this probably, for me personally, I think I'd probably give it a C. It's not an F, not a D, but probably a C, you know what I mean? Because I am interested in seeing what's going on, but just getting bum rushed by these NPCs with these little, I don't know, knives, or they look like, I don't know, garden hose or something they're attacking me with, and or maybe that's all they could salvage from the ship. I don't know. But yeah, that was an interesting experience there. So Outriders, I may try and play some more. These are just my initial thoughts on the demo, and we'll see if I'm able to do that. But thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed hearing me talk, then by all means like and subscribe. And if not, then feel free to let me know in the comments what you disagreed with or something to that effect. And hope to do more of these in the future.